everybody, it's Dan. Welcome back, and welcome to another unusual one. This is going to be covering a lot of miniatures that was sent to me by a friend of mine from Australia. And I wanted to make this just both because I thought the content might be interesting. At least I enjoy seeing other people go through lots of kind of disparate miniatures and finding out where they came from, but also just by way of explanation, because these miniatures are going to start popping up in painting videos in the not so distant future, and it'd be easier for me to just point to this video to explain where they came from. I also find that bit interesting because it's true that he goes by the name Young Seward. You'll see him down in the comments section every once in a while, kind of convincing people or trying to convince people to unsubscribe from the channel like a good friend. But I've always found that interesting, that he is like one of my oldest and closest friends that I've never met him in person. So I think that's maybe true of lots of people anyway, at least in this year 2025. Anyway, we do this every few years, mostly because it's cost prohibitive, shipping to and from Australia. So we have to kind of wait until we can make it worthwhile. But each time we've done this, I'll send him a package with some like snacks and stuff and some miniatures. Then he'll completely outdo me with what he sends back. So I have to learn my lesson next time, and I'll have him send the package first. But anyway, so yeah, let me start bringing some of these miniatures in here. I will say he also sent a very large bag of local snacks, as I alluded to. Lots and lots of candy, which would be great for, I would say, my kids, but also me, selfishly. So I'll be enjoying that. And a little batch of homemade Anzac biscuits, which is the real gem of this lot. If you want to know the key to my heart, it's a good Anzac biscuit. So anyway, let's start bringing some of these miniatures in so you can see what all he sent me. So the first kind of category is Privateer Pro. I guess it's not Privateer Press anymore, it's War Machine. These are some Vicrix figures that he had 3D printed for me, and he you can see, I think these are really fantastic. These sculpts look way better than some of the War Machine sculpts that existed back when Privateer Press held the copyright. But as I understand it anyway, they're all 3D now. If you want to get into War Machine these days, I think you can buy, or at least for a time you could buy direct from the new owners, but I think all these sculpts look really cool. So I'm looking forward to painting these up. This is actually how the entire conversation started, is he's like, hey, you want some Vicrix models? So, and that kind of kicked it off. So anyway, so he sent a bunch of these 3D printed Vicrix models, which is great. And he also sent me some of these Circle Ouroboros wolf figures from the Hordes line. I think those are fun. Certainly be fun to paint up. And then two Troll Bloods miniatures. He sent me this character solo here, and then this figure. It's still inside of its packaging. And this I think would have come back when Privateer Press was still doing this kind of thing, but that's why it's in that slightly blue looking plastic. So really cool. I haven't played War Machine in a while, but I really do enjoy miniatures from different companies and painting up lots of different things, as you might have gathered from watching the channel. In terms of other 3D miniatures that he sent, this is truly crazy how much stuff that he sent me. He sent a bunch of, I think these are Highland miniatures, Ashigaru, that are in these like handgun firing poses in some cases. I think there's about 10 to 12 of those, and then a bunch of these Spearmen as well. And this is particularly cool because I have plans to pick up some of the Fireforge Games Japanese samurai and their Ashigaru as well. So it'll be really cool to see how they all scale up together. But you can see these look a little bit big on their 20mm bases, which is, at least to my eye, makes them look like they're going to scale up really nicely with the Fireforge stuff. But we'll see when the time comes. Speaking of Highland miniatures, he also sent me 20 of these, I guess I'll call them Questing Knight figures, but they would also work really well, I think, as like alternate like Empire greatswords, if that's something that you wanted to do. But they're dismounted Questing Knights, at least thematically. I think that's what they were going for. They'd also make really good Mountains Men for Cool Mini or Not's Song of Ice and Fire range, if that was something you wanted to use them for. But I like the design of these a lot. They really remind me of, if anybody remembers from the 6th edition Bretonnium book, there's a picture of a questing knight, trying to get his sword blessed by the lady in the lake. I've always been really captivated by that image, so this kind of gives me those vibes. So really, really cool. Then rounding out 3D sculpts, he sent a little package of swords. Great swords here, which will be great for conversion work. And then I'll just start moving some of these random miniatures that he said he just thought would be cool. And I already have an eye on using a lot of these for like characters in my various projects. Yeah, I think they all look really cool. It'd be fun to paint up, fun to mix in. I've done this a couple of times now using 3D printed figures as characters, because you know normally I like dealing with plastic miniatures. I like this. This one is going to be, I think, my general in my mercenary army. So yeah, nice just mix of miniatures here. That'll be great again for tabletop gaming, for role-playing games. Nice for, again, scale comparison videos. Of course, you can scale 3D sculpts however you want, but looking at what the standard size is helpful. This one's awesome, isn't it? This is going to be probably a giant in my Chaos army. But yeah, I think that looks fantastic. It'll be loads of fun to paint up. Now we're moving into kind of non-3D printed miscellaneous figures. So we got this cool old Chaos Ogre. We have a handful of these Berserker figures from Cool Mini or Not. These are House Stark Umbar Berserkers, I think is what they're called. Which is, again, great. I'll use them as Berserkers in my Asklander's army. It's a 9th Age faction that's kind of like Chaos Marauders, and they have a Berserker unit, so that'll be fun. He also sent, looks like a unit of Fireforge Northman Spearman, which is great. Again, not only from a painting standpoint, but a scale comparison standpoint, because several people have been asking specifically for scale comparisons with this unit. So there you go. Can add that into the rotation. He also sent, as if that wasn't enough, he also sent a fully intact Skaven Bloodbull team. So just for the sake of completeness, I'm sure I'll do a review of this at some point, just to add it to the review roster. There you go. Complete with transfers and everything. And then he sent a couple of limited edition figures. This is a Avatars of War Berserker figure. Like the old, in the style of, I should say, the old Games Workshop Doomseeker. But this is a female one, which is awesome. It'd be great to add into my dwarf army. Speaking of limited edition figures, he sent then this guy, which is a web exclusive Space Marine from whatever they're calling Games Day now. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun to paint up too. I've always had aspirations to do an Imperial Fists Space Marine army, but that's kind of low down in the priority, but this will be a great first addition to that project. And then rounding things out, he sent a mostly complete set of Vicrix Vikings. So we've got some guys that are loose off the sprues, and then just a bunch of sprues of the Vikings. And this is fantastic because I've wanted to do a review of the Vicrix Vikings set, and he happened to send among these sprues one each of the command and the infantry sets that are almost entirely complete. The command's just missing 2 shields from up here, but that'll be fine from a review standpoint. So we'll get that one reviewed as well. I've always been a fan of this set in particular. Of course, Vicrix can do no wrong at this point, but this set, for those that aren't aware, is the one that really kicked off their current successes, I would say, is when they kind of changed gears and how they started doing designs. And then finally, this is very meaningful to me, as Dogs of War was my first proper army back in 6th edition Warhammer, but he sent me the regiment of renown ogres, which I think look like so much fun. I'm going to really enjoy painting these up. In fact, these might be the next painting project I tackle, because they'll be, I think, fairly straightforward, but loads and loads of fun. This guy still just needs his arms attached. Otherwise, there you go. So a ludicrous amount of stuff. He also sent a Arc of Sight and some other like miscellaneous gaming aids and dice from his local gaming group that meant a lot to me. So it was really cool to get all of that. So. And there you have it. So a really ludicrous amount of stuff, and it's going to be contributing to not only some review content that'll be coming out here shortly, but plenty of painting content. So immensely grateful to Young Seward. Again, I'm sure you'll see him down in the comments saying nasty things about the channel, so look out for that. I really appreciate you, buddy, and I appreciate all of you for dropping by to check this video out. So hope it wasn't too boring, but in the meantime, I appreciate you dropping by for this one, everybody, and until next time, happy gaming.